I'm appalled at what you said on that pod thing. It's disgusting.
This is the After the Show podcast. It's where we get honest and real with yo ass. So sit back, relax, have a blast, because it's time for the After the Show podcast.
Yeah, hello and welcome to the KVJ After the Show podcast for Thursday. Getting through to that weekend, baby. Oh, yeah.
Friday Eve.
Mm-hmm.
Boy, it really does go quick when you aren't here Monday and Tuesday.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah, and I heard for South Floridians, our weather is going to get a little bit more in line with regular weather patterns, and that funk that's been sitting on top of us won't be as much. We'll still have the daily thunderstorms for right now, but we're getting through it. And I saw the peak of hurricane season is Tuesday.
Oh,
So,
okay.
We don't have anything in the forecast, they don't think, for the next 2 weeks. They're keeping some eyes on this, some systems that are out there, but it doesn't look like the conditions are going to be good for it. But the good thing about it, I always think about one of the solstice days, like December 21st. I'm like, okay, after this day now, you start every day, it gets, a little bit more or less light outside. Well, the whole thing is after you get past that precipice now, every single day after that day that's the peak, the odds of a hurricane become less and less and less until you're out of hurricane season.
We love it.
Yeah, so that's the good news. So we're just about at the peak, and that means that we're getting over that hump. It's all good. So looking forward to that. Let me see, got a couple of comments here going on from what we did on the show today. Talking about people taking spills. I took a big fall last night, hit a patch of oil. And man, it's amazing how slick oil is.
It is. Virginia's right. It's a quick fall.
Yeah.
And your leg can split, too, if you're not careful. Your little banana split.
Oh, you can go in all different directions. Yeah, Lori in front of a CVS said all of her stuff went everywhere. So she said at least she didn't have that going on. She said mine was very public. And nobody came and helped me. That's the other thing, too. There's some sadness in that.
People just walk by.
Yeah.
Public fall is the worst.
Yeah. Lori said I was working on a boat wearing tight jeans. It was cold out, and I tried to jump on the dock, and I missed it and smacked my head on the boat, and I went in the water.
Oh, damn. You're lucky you lived.
Yeah, and she said I was hanging on for dear life to the pillar trying to climb on the boat. It was awful. The guy washing the boat just heard me smack it. And those pillars, the thing I've found, too, those pylons, they have the barnacles on it. Those things are like razors.
They will cut you in 8,000 ways.
I know, because I walked on one of them before. A rock had all these barnacles on there.
Oh,
I
man.
was showing off for these girls at Diaper Beach, Du Bois Park.
Yeah.
And I went to go catch this Frisbee and landed on one of them big-ass rocks with them barnacles. Sliced the fuck out of my foot. Started to cry in front of the girls.
Oh, no.
And then some weird random cowboy guy came up to me and said, "Don't you cry, boy." I said, "Don't you cry."
Really?
Yeah.
It's an odd thing to say to a stranger.
That really did happen.
Don't you cry, boy. That's pretty amazing. Also, big news. Doug said, I just saw on Instagram that Only Murders in the Building is getting a season 5. It is a great show.
Yeah,
You're right,
they're
Doug.
picking it up again.
Thing that is kind of crazy today, and it goes to show you just how much stuff we have out there, that you have a great show like that. I knew about it briefly. Maybe I fleetingly heard about it in season 1. Season 2, I heard a little bit more about it. Season 3 is when I heard more and more people talking about it. I'm like, you know what? One of these days, I'm going to check it out. And I just got lucky. When I started watching it, I had no idea that season 4 was about to drop. And I finished season 3 maybe 3 weeks ago. And then I think a day later, I was like, oh, they got season 4 or it's coming out like in a second, in a heartbeat. I was like, so cool. So yeah, that's out. And I've got the second episode to watch. It drops now every Tuesday.
I'm going to try to stick with it.
Yeah. And honestly, I thought it's one of those shows, and I think this does happen too. And I think that's why it's hard to get into new shows. It takes a minute. I felt myself liking the show more and more the longer I was in it. I think it's like with any show. With our show, I think at first you're like, okay.
What is this?
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about everybody. But then you start learning the quirks of everything. And then it just starts hitting harder. You know, every joke and every little thing because you know the characters involved and you expect that. You're like, oh, that's funny that they did that.
We've gotten those emails before where we go, I did not like you guys for 2 weeks, and then by the third week, I really enjoyed your show.
I think that's just honestly human.
We're a slow burn.
Yeah.
I think I think you're right when you say it. That's the struggle. Things do take a little bit of time, and we're so. I want it now. Make me laugh now. When it does it, you need a little patience for it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Ashley, one of the two. I can't tell. Maybe she is Ashy.
Oh, that's wrong, Kevin.
She said, Kev, where did you see the poor reviews for Beetlejuice? It was a guy, he's a radio dude in Detroit that I know, and he had posted up that they had the movie premiere for their audience. And he was just talking about because it was uncomfortable because they had the premiere. Remember, we used to do that at radio stations
Sure.
a lot. And so they had done that. And so here they are as a radio station. It's kind of like their name's almost attached to it. People started getting up and walking out. And he was outside, you know, working for the station to greet people. And he just heard the conversations. And they're like, that was crap. So
see, I can see people walking out of a theater if there's something really gross or intense or offensive. I'm finding it hard to believe this story that so many people walked out of Beetlejuice 2. I'm not buying that.
And maybe it's because the radio station was a free ticket, so they didn't think much of it.
And
Who
maybe
knows?
they didn't know the original
Right.
Beetlejuice, and maybe you have to know the original to be excited. I don't know.
Yeah.
Have you ever walked out of a movie because not because of an emergency?
Because it was
No.
that terrible. Not one that I remember. I might have, but it's been so long ago that nothing really stands out. I think maybe there was one that we had left. Maybe it was Spider-Man. It was the one that they had done after the Tobey Maguires. Remember when they had the Spider-Man that was in it for like a movie?
Andrew Garfield.
Andrew Garfield.
Who looked 35 in high school.
I think there was one of those, and for whatever reason, I can't remember if we needed to leave or if it was. I think I went to go see it with my older son, Colin, and for some reason, I think we did walk out of that, and I don't remember why.
There's a J-Lo movie I saw in the theater, and when I watched it in the theater, I fucking hated it. Me and my date walked out because we were so bored. Then they started running it on HBO months later, and I ended up loving the movie. It's called U-Turn with Nick Nolte.
Okay.
I'm gonna talk about this.
Yeah. So I wouldn't base much on what I saw. That was all I saw. It's only been that one comment and that one story. And, you know, they were saying $100 million they expect that movie to make, Beetlejuice this weekend. So
I don't know if I'm buying that either.
No.
100 mil?
I think it will. I mean, I just got finished seeing Beetlejuice, the Broadway show. That was so good. Like, Beetlejuice fever is back. The young kids know about Beetlejuice, too.
Okay, all right. I may stand corrected. If I'm right, you have to dress like Beetlejuice for a week, and if you're right, I have to do it.
Beetle Week?
Beetle
like
week.
that, yeah. I'm in.
Kevin's like, I don't have to do nothing?
I'm
Sweet.
in this. I love it. It's a great
do
idea.
it.
Let's do it.
It's written in stone.
It is. It's done. It's a done deal.
Beetle Week.
I don't know if we got a lot of Twilight fans out there. Apparently so, because this is kind of a big story, too. Netflix has ordered an animated adaptation of Stephanie Meyer's Twilight novel, Midnight Sun. I don't know anything about these books. I never got into that. I do remember watching the Twilight series. I think I had taken Caitlin to go see it. She was obviously much younger at the time, and I remember seeing the teenage girls crying and just.
It was a lot. I remember it had a good fanfare with the people that love that. They love it.
Yeah. So apparently that's going to be something that they're doing. There were originally 4 novels in the Twilight series from 2008 to 2012. Wow, that's 12 years ago. That's crazy.
I know, and I feel like no one talks about that anymore.
No.
Yeah. And remember how big it was?
It was
Huge.
massive.
So massive 12 years ago. And then you're right. I mean, I guess the series is over, but still, it's not one of those things where people are like, I go back and watch Twilight. I think it was one of those things where the first movie was pretty good. And I think by the time they got to the third, it kind of was losing people. It's like many franchises do.
Mags was never into that.
He's too young.
No,
right?
she was too young. She missed
Yeah,
it.
because Caitlin was, I think, 14, so she was prime age for it.
She was watching Dora still. Mags was.
Yeah, a little bit different. Now, Aaron has got some suggestions of movies to watch with Cannon, my son, 16. He says, Lone Survivor, true story of a 2005 Navy SEAL on a mission in Afghanistan gone terribly wrong. Okay.
It's a very good movie.
Black Hawk Down, Story of 160 elite U.S. soldiers who dropped into Mogadishu in October of '93.
Mogadishu.
Captured 2 top lieutenants.
Those are 2 good movies.
Yeah, I would love to have him watch those. We Were Soldiers. That is about United States and North Vietnamese forces. Yeah, I would love to have him get in that and appreciate our armed services and all that. I mean, my whole family is real big into that. My aunt, uncle, lifetime, my cousin, first cousin. I mean, we got a lot of lifers that's what they do. They go
Military.
Into it. Yes. Yeah, they don't mess around. So, I mean, that Army-Navy football game every year is really big in my family. That is a huge thing to represent because we've got Marines, so the Navy's big. Army is on the other side. Lieutenant colonels on both, fighting through it. So, yeah, I would love to see Ken get into that. Thank you for the suggestions.
Do a lot of chicks like war movies? I mean, the idea of you watching a war movie, does that really just dry up?
Yeah, it's the peach ain't sweet.
Peach dries up.
I don't see you sitting down. Cool, let's watch a Vietnam movie, Panda.
I mean, if there was a reason, I would certainly do it and get into it, and I wouldn't seek it out to watch like I would like a rom-com or what I would like a comedy.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, I'm sure there's some women out there that like a war movie, but I just
Sure.
never hear them talk about it.
I think like if you love history, you can appreciate a war movie. I think I watched. Did I watch?
I'm going to say no.
I think I watched the beginning of Saving Private Ryan, but that's it.
Then that's probably a little too hard for you.
Yeah, I was like, ooh, this is a lot.
Yeah, that's tough. And in fact, look, man, there's nobody I respect more than people in our armed services. That watching the opening of Saving Private Ryan, I would probably scare me to be like, I ain't doing this shit.
It's intense.
It really is. And the way they shot it,
Yeah.
it makes you think you're there.
It does.
Really well done, but it just makes you really understand the sacrifice that people are like, yeah, okay, I volunteer for this. I'm going, baby.
Well, I've heard
That's crazy.
I've heard veterans talk about who made it out of that and what they went through, and just them being 18 years old and really
even
just
imagine.
not even knowing what the hell is going on.
Mass
Seeing your buddy
chaos.
die.
Oh yeah, you're just in bullets are flying through your friends' brains, and you're like, holy crap, man. Yeah, that's a whole different thing. And I think I remember them talking about almost a warning saying, hey, this really might trigger some people because, you got that PTSD from actually being in those kind of situations, watching this scene. And I'd never been in that situation. It took me there. I'm like, holy crap, man. It was hard for me to watch.
The thing I always wondered, let's say you did survive that, and there's so much chaos going on, so many bombs and bullets,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden you live through it. How does that stop? Does somebody from the other side go, all right, we're done for we're going to stop fighting now? Or do they try to go, do you have to retreat if you are getting fucked over and really getting it?
No, I mean, it typically goes on throughout the day. I mean, most battles, they're still fighting even through the night. If you looked at Vietnam, it didn't stop. You're always in it. So something would happen. And a lot of times, the Viet Cong would attack at night because they had the cover of darkness, and that was their friend, was the jungle and the element of surprise. That's why Vietnam, you talk to somebody like that, like my father-in-law was in Vietnam, and you talk to him about stories. Yeah, that was just, you always were uneasy. It's just always any minute could go down. Now, historically in war, sometimes they take a break at night or whatever. In fact, there's a famous story with World War I. They were doing trench warfare, Virginia, and both sides got out on Christmas Day and played a game of football together, and then went back to
Wow.
killing each other the next day.
That's an insane story.
Isn't that's the kind of weird stuff that happens?
That
in
is so weird.
There's
Yeah.
even rules within war.
Yeah, that's why war just, gosh, it's so senseless and it's so dumb because you see the humanity from both sides and how you would want somebody you're playing football with, a good friendly game, the next day you're hoping that they're dead.
Well, if I was on the side where it looks like everyone's getting wiped out and you survive, my brain would be thinking, are they coming down to see if anyone survived to finish off the job?
Right.
Yeah, that's what I would start
they
to
do.
think.
Yeah, I think never having been in that situation, I think you just have to flip a switch where you turn off humanity in your mind. And isn't that crazy?
It's so crazy.
And that's why, to me, I know there still is a standard of war, but sometimes when people go a little bit over the line, you're like, okay, it's tough. And people want to criticize who are not in that arena.
Well,
and be like, well, you know what? That wasn't very nice.
that's the way people.
It's like,
that's what
okay.
people do.
Yeah, I mean, come on. How do you expect somebody to be able to flip that switch to go out there and do what they have to do and then maybe sometimes don't go over the line a bit?
Well, especially if you didn't want to go to war, and then you're not. Let's say you don't have that kind of, you know,
Oh,
naturally.
It happens, yeah. And they cover that
during
well.
a draft.
Yeah, well, in the characters that they've had, like a Full Metal Jacket, you see people that they're there that don't want to be there. They thought, oh my gosh, I signed up, but I never thought this was going to happen.
My dad didn't sign up. Like, I think he signed up, but it was like the draft was coming and you had to sign up.
Yes.
Or be drafted for like the worst positions. And so I
okay.
think that's why he signed up, because he was like, all right, at least I can pick where I want to go.
You could, yeah.
If I go now, if I wait to the draft, then they just stick me where they want me.
Right. Yeah, my dad in Vietnam, had done ROTC in college, and he was a legal person for the military. So he's sitting behind a desk.
Yeah, I mean, just how nerve-wracking that would be, though.
Insane.
You either have to sign up quickly, or you have to wait for the draft.
Yeah.
My dad did like paratrooping. He was like the guy that packed the parachutes.
Really?
I don't think he jumped, but I think he was the guy that packed your parachute.
So he's seen some stuff.
I don't know. He won't talk about it.
He won't.
A lot of them won't. Yeah.
I know better, and I learned it at a very young age not to bring it up.
Right.
Like, it's
You
just,
don't.
it's too dark and deep and sad
Yeah.
and scary for them. And, you know, as a little girl, you never want to make your dad upset. And so I learned pretty quick that we don't talk about that.
Of all the people I've known in the military, I have not met one that sat down and wanted to tell me war stories.
I met one.
Did you?
Yeah, and I could tell he wanted to get off his chest.
Yeah, maybe some. Let me see. Got a question here from Michael. He's made some sports bets and he wanted to get Cannon's advice on it.
Can you get our official KVJ bookie on the line?
Yeah, he said, would Kevin's son cash out on this parlay? He had 10 different picks. And I asked Cannon about it last night. He's like, well, these are all, anything could happen. These are all just pretty random. But Cannon said, yes, he would cash out. If you won the first 4, get out. But it's things like Tyreek Hill scoring a touchdown and, you know, Patrick Mahomes throwing 2 touchdowns or more. So, yeah, Cannon said, yeah, get to the first 4 and then cash out. So that's his recommendation. But if you have any questions about your bet before you make it, you can send it to me and I will run it by Cannon because he will have the stats behind it on whether you do or you do not. So, yeah, he talks to me about his bets, and I'm like, they're so random. He finds the offshoot of some game of somebody that's going to do this, and, yeah, some guy I've never heard of in the NBA is going to get 8 rebounds or less. I'm like, okay. All right.
They really do bet about all kinds of shit.
Yeah, they kind of do. Yeah, the one good thing, though, he's limited by the Hard Rock betting app. Because I did ask him, because you can do the prop bets, that's just off on things like that. Like I see for a team, somebody's going to get so-and-so yards. I don't think they do a lot of the prop bets. So he is limited, so that does make me feel better.
Prop bets are fun. The weird ones.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Information for you from Sean J. Bird, and I had heard this before because I had rats in my attic. And he said, just tell Jaybird that rats only need an opening the size of a quarter to enter your home, no matter how big the rat is.
I fixed my hole.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Good.
Okay.
I fixed it.
That's why you cannot have.
Yeah, I don't think I got rats, but I went outside the other night late, and I'm not kidding you, it sounded like a fucking man jumped on top of my roof. I mean, it wasn't a man, but it just sounded like something big jumped on there. Something's jumping on my roof from them trees. And I can hear it throughout the night, but it's kind of almost as if they got their own schedule.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of them. Like, we've had raccoons, too, at one point. And so, you know, sometimes if it's more of a thud, you might have a coon up there. But then you got the lighter ones, you got squirrels, you got iguanas, and you got rats. Those seem to be the biggest roof dwellers.
I told
opossums.
The big rat or the big raccoon that's
The raccoon
in my neighborhood that looks like it's got a dangly one arm. When it stood up in my driveway, I really thought it was a fucking man. It looks so grand.
What's in this wonder joint?
And then it just slinked away and gave me a look, and a street light kind of hit it. It was-
Am I in a movie?
I'm sorry, my street doesn't have street lights. A neighbor's light hit it, and I could see it.
You do not have street lights.
I really don't. It's kind of insane.
It's dark AF.
I wonder why that is.
The raccoons love it.
Is every street like that where it's just there's darkness pretty much?
Rarely.
I thought so too. Huh.
I think our streets are relatively dark as well.
You don't have street lights?
Come to think of it, I don't know what we do.
We do. We
Yeah.
have street lights, and then we have everybody's got like a little lamp post in their yard.
But you're in
Yeah, no
Tequesta.
shit. Tequesta talking over here.
I know.
I'm over living in the low budget side of Gardens. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
No, I'm not.
I live in Murder Alley.
Murder Alley.
I don't want lights in that.
I think Kevin has street lights.
I don't think so.
No, just let her be wrong tomorrow.
Been there 25 years, but
Who's wrong? If she's right, you have to dress like a street lamp for a week. Kevin's right.
Virginia's going to be Beetlejuice and a street lamp.
It's a lot, but I'll do it.
And Cassie said, I sent an idea for a cup holder in the table for Jaybird in the new studio a while back. Can I add a better chair for him in that suggestion as well? Looks like he sits crisscross applesauce in that chair, and it hurts my pelvis just watching him try to sit down every morning.
He's going through it right now. How he's sitting right now is not how he wants to sit.
Yeah, and I know everyone's got. Thank you for the advice. I just think there's certain ways I sit because I'll see it in the chat room. Don't sit that way. It's bad. I'm doing that because I'm trying to just get out of my pained position.
He's relieving the pressure.
Yeah.
And it looks weird, and we know it's probably throwing his alignment off, but he's got to sit that way so he doesn't constantly in pain.
I'm trying to go in a Denny's room during commercials so I don't look like I'm dying in front of everybody, which I'm not. Everything's fine. But we find out my date tomorrow.
Okay.
I go in for one X-ray for the hip and just to go deep, and I think we schedule my
Do you
surgery.
do the shot tomorrow in your back?
No, that is I think next week.
Okay.
So you might see all of a sudden me coming in here and just woo
Karate Kid in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And everyone says don't do that, Jason.
Don't do that, Jason.
Yeah. That was KC that sent that. Thank you very much, KC.
Thank you, Casey.
Nick has got some little dirt here about Sabrina Carpenter. Her new album is mostly about Shawn Mendes.
What?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, you could tell this album's about you left me or be gone and I'm going to be fine without you kind of a thing.
Apparently, she was involved with Shawn Mendes after he broke up with Camila Cabello, and it was only like a month-long relationship until he went back to Camila.
Damn.
But if you listen to the songs on the new album, knowing this, it's pretty funny. There's a song called Dumb and Poetic about a guy that thinks he's deep and spiritual, but he's really a total tool.
Dumb and poetic.
That's amazing.
That's good.
And her new single, Taste, is about a man going back to his old girlfriend after having been with her.
Ooh, very familiar.
Why does everyone keep leaving her? What's going on with her? I
Well,
like
it's
her.
just-
'Cause-
Yeah, it's just the one.
Okay, that's not
Yeah.
Shawn Mendes who did that either.
Yeah, I think it's just the one time that she had this, but she got an album out of it. What I find interesting about Sabrina Carpenter, when I heard that this is her 6th album, and what is it? Because she has several songs. Why is she not really broken through before on 5 albums? Is it something where, and it sounds like she's involved with the writing that's going on here. So did she finally learn how to write? Did she get a better producer?
Sometimes it just
What
doesn't go
was it?
your way either. I mean,
Yeah.
I never
Does
even.
she have gems on the previous 5 albums that have just never got any attention?
And some of those albums might be just like she pressed them in her basement.
Yeah, I've gotten people sending me messages going, "Bird, I'm so glad you're liking Sabrina Carpenter because she hasn't got the shine she deserves." And it happened to the Blues Travelers. Remember that band?
Yeah.
I think it was
Yeah.
their 3rd or 4th album where
Yeah.
Hook and Run Around came out.
Right.
4, I think,
It
was
just
the name
hit.
of the album.
Yeah, it's odd. It seems like some artists either the first album crushes and then they struggle, or others they're kind of a slow and it takes 3 or 4 albums before they get it going.
It does seem, though, in modern times, it's a unique situation where you wait 4 albums for it to explode. Typically, it's the new album and everyone loves it. And
Yeah. KJ said Jack Antonoff produced the album. He's got a very hot hand. And you can hear that in Espresso. It's just got that sound to it. There are some songs that have a sound like, gosh, that's a great sounding song. Espresso's like that. Like, for instance, the old Mark Morrison song, Return of the Mac. Whoever produced that, that's just a really good sounding song on the radio. I used to I used to work for a really big programmer now, and they would always have those conversations. It just sounds good on the radio.
Yes.
It explodes out the speakers.
Something about it. It popped, it cut through the noise, it kind of grabbed you and just brought you in. And so programmers, when it came to figuring out what songs they wanted to, they'd be like, that song just grabs you, man. It sounds great on the radio.
She seems very likable, and she's adorable. And that Please, Please, Please song, man, I think it's such an earworm. That's how I feel about that song.
Yeah.
But maybe we should go back into the earlier
could
5
be.
albums.
I would.
I would too.
I know that your son Rocco is very excited about Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Is that tonight at the Kravis Center?
Tonight at the Kravis Center.
Okay.
He is jazzed.
Yeah, good for him.
We are going to see it. I think Panda's kind of jazzed too because he loves Spider-Man. Of
Oh, Panda's definitely jazz.
He's way into it.
So Nick has got a suggestion for Rocco: Explorers, starring a young Ethan Hawke building his own spaceship and going into outer space and meeting funny aliens.
Oh, I would like. Is it for Rocco or for Jaybird?
Explorers.
Yeah. And then also Adventures in Babysitting. They do say the F word once, but I have a feeling he's probably heard it before.
I love that movie.
Adventures in Babysitting. All right.
Yeah, you guys have seen that before, right?
I don't know if I have.
That
No,
just
I never
fucking
watched
blows
that
my
one.
mind.
It came, you know what? I think when it came out, I was more into my teen years, and it looked like it was younger kids that she was babysitting. I don't know. For whatever reason, I just didn't get there.
I get that. I can see that not being
Seemed kiddie.
your flavor with
Yeah.
a mullet and ciggies.
I was into the weird sciences and those kind of movies where it was, yeah, you're right. It was derelict teenagers doing things they shouldn't. That's what got my attention.
There's a movie, and I apologize if I brought this up on the air, but I'd never seen it before, from the mid-'90s, Casper.
Casper, you did tell me. I put it on my list.
What an adorable movie. I really thought that was good, and maybe that was not a hit.
I will totally show it to him.
I'm wondering if he'll like it.
I hope so.
I don't remember it being huge.
I don't either. And that's when I would have known if that was huge. Christina Ricci's in it. Bill Pullman's in it. I don't know. I thought that was a really good movie.
So it's people, and then the ghost is a cartoon?
It's very heart-wrenching. It's a great family movie that has got the feels.
Okay.
All right. Kimberly has some comments, and we did get several about the Disney lawsuit issue yesterday that we were trying to clean up and understand. And she said, yeah, I think with that lawsuit that had happened, remember it was a food, an allergy. A guy had allergies, had expressed his allergies, got the food that he shouldn't have gotten anyway, and then died. And the wife was wanting to sue, but apparently because she'd signed up for Disney Plus or something like that, there was something in the fine print about her not being able to do that. And Kimberly had said, yeah, in regards to that, the issue was they had wanted to settle in arbitration, not in a jury court. Okay, maybe I guess they thought that they could
Oh,
cut
yeah,
how
that
much
is
they'd
a
have to pay.
thing. They put it in there that you agree to go to arbitration.
Yeah. Another comment that we'd received via text yesterday says Disney owns all real estate at Disney Springs. Stores and restaurants pay Disney, but yes, they are affiliates. So, yeah, if you got that at one of those restaurants, how does that work when it
The
comes to
food service is not the same as when you're in the park.
Yeah.
When you're in the park, it's way more on point when you go to those sit-down, nice restaurants where you get the tab and it's like 3 car payments. Those are next level, and they really do take their time. It's not the same at Disney Springs.
And what I was calling out yesterday was these companies that are putting all this fine print and these disclaimers that are 8 pages long, and you just click on it to save time. Because a lot of times, too, you're standing at a counter.
Right, and they're like waiting for you, tapping their foot.
Yeah, so it's like, hold on, I'm on page 6 of 28. And so that was my point, saying the Federal Trade Commission needs to step in and do something about that. And somebody texted and said, yeah, the laws in the European Union force these companies to make disclaimers more readable for the customers and the consumers. So that sounds like a good play. And also, too, it just feels like there should be some things you can't put in the fine print.
Yes. You shouldn't be able to take away somebody's rights if you kill them.
Yeah.
That's like, what?
Isn't that what they put when you go bungee jumping? You can go bungee jumping, sign this. If you die, it's on you.
Yeah.
I thought that was part of
And
that.
I've been told, too, that there are just some things that signing a waiver doesn't cover.
Right.
Yeah.
I feel like I signed a couple contracts that really fucked me over when it was supposed to help me.
I thought this was an interesting comment, too, because you're talking about the new cast on Dancing with the Stars and that Anna Delvey got onto it. And somebody texted us earlier, and they said, I think it's absolutely disgusting that they're putting Anna Delvey onto that show. This bitch is wearing an ankle monitor. I thought this was Dancing with the Stars, not Dancing with the Convicts. What makes a convicted felon a star? Definitely will not be watching this season.
It is a little odd, man. The people sometimes we choose to champion.
It is, but they made her a star with that show, Inventing Anna. And now she's actually got a team. She has a legitimate team, y'all.
Oh, and the other one that is odd for me is that Gypsy Rose. They follow her like she is some big A-lister, and anything that happens in her life, they report on it like she's a Kardashian.
So if that story is accurate, which I believe that it is, her mom was really a fucking loon.
Her mom did her dirty.
Did her really dirty to a point.
Not covered for that, but I mean, she was responsible for taking a life, right?
She absolutely she is, but you wonder again. I wasn't in that house, but did she get fucked over so bad to a point where she snapped and said, "I can't believe this is going on"?
Well, I think she realized, oh my gosh, I haven't been sick this whole time. My mom was making me sick, and she twisted me, and she made all this, and my freaking teeth fell out. Like, her mom was giving her medicines and giving her things to make her sick when she wasn't sick. That is fucked.
What I find odd is just somebody who's not an actor, actress, singer, whatever, hasn't really done or created anything, that they do follow her like she's Britney Spears or something like that. I think it's just the media attention of her.
It is, and she got a lot of stuff on TikTok and a lot of stuff on social media. And then they had, I think, 1 or 2 shows built around that story.
Yeah, she's got
so they
a
made her
lot.
a celebrity.
It's the pop culture freak factor. That's what she is.
yeah.
It's the same as Anna Delvey.
I guarantee you, though, if Ted Bundy or Jeffrey Dahmer was alive and they were allowed to walk the streets, not everyone would be, Jeffrey Dahmer would get selfies with people. People would go up to Jeffrey Dahmer and get selfies with him.
You're right.
That's just the way it is.
It is kind of interesting commentary on our society and, what we get fixated on and what we just want more information on.
There'd be a new movement. Oh, free Jeffrey Dahmer. He's already paid for his sin. I'm just telling you. There'd be
Right.
dumb enough people that would do that.
And in your murder fun facts here, did you know at least 850 murders are believed to be linked to long-haul truckers?
I do know that.
There you go. That's one of those unfun facts.
There's a lot of stories where someone who travels the country that's driving a truck, because you're able to hide your victims in there. You're also able to be a ghost from each town to town. If you don't live there, they don't know who you are.
And I don't think it's that hard to start trucking. Because I know somebody that did it, like in the past couple of years.
Well, they're on the freeway, meaning they're going to try to find a victim right off the freeway, a gas station. You've also got guys that could get ladies of the night who are going to take a month sometimes to even know they're even missing. So, yeah, when you see a truck on I-95, be suspect.
Truck around and find out.
No, and that's still a low number compared to all trucks, obviously.
Yeah.
But it's eye-opening.
Yeah, I'm going to have to throw that into some unfun facts tomorrow.
I like fun facts.
You know a fact about Buc-ee's? No truckers allowed.
Because they don't want people getting murdered.
Yeah, I
The
wouldn't,
beaver is on your
I
side.
wouldn't invite him to my place either.
That shit's right off the highway. You could snatch me. If I had a couple of drinks in me, you could get me.
Oh, totally.
Yeah, probably not even that.
No, you're right.
Yeah.
Just,
They'd snatch you sober.
I would slip on an oil spill like Kevin, not be able to walk, and they just put me right in their U-Haul.
Yeah, getting around really well right now, so yeah, it'd be tough. All right, well, we got one more day till we get to another weekend.
Woohoo!
All right, y'all, we'll see you back here tomorrow for the Friday KVJ show. Goodbye.